everybody, and welcome back to another math lesson. Today, we're going to continue talking about the properties of a circle. All you will need for today's lesson is a piece of paper and something to write with. All right, let's take a look at our learning target for today. Our learning target for today says, I can investigate the relationship between parts of a circle. Specifically, the relationship between the diameter and radius, diameter and circumference, radius and circumference, and diameter and chord. Let's start by answering the first question. How is circumference related to perimeter?
How do you think perimeter and circumference are related? Well, last week we learned that perimeter is the distance around the outside of a polygon. I can show that by tracing around the outside of this square, for example. This week we learned that circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle. I can show that by tracing around this circle in red. So, perimeter and circumference are related because they both measure the distance around the outside.
Next question. How is a chord related to diameter?
This week, we have learned that a chord is a line segment connecting any 2 points on a circle. So I could label this green line as a chord. The purple line is also a chord, except it runs through the center of a circle, making it the diameter. So, the diameter is a chord. It just runs through the center of a circle. It happens to be the longest chord of the circle.
Next question. How does diameter relate to radius?
This week, we learned that a radius is a line segment that connects the center point of a circle to any other point on the circle. Now, if I have 2 radii, meaning if I have a radius here and I draw in another radius here and connect them, I now have a diameter because I have a chord that goes through the center of the circle.
Next question. How does diameter relate to circumference?
What do you think is longer, the length of the diameter or the length of the circumference of this circle? If you said the length of the circumference, you're right. And I can show you that by using string. How many times longer do you think the circumference is than the diameter? Here I have a piece of string that I cut and is about the length of the diameter. I'm going to tape that around the circumference of my circle so it stays in place. The length of one diameter definitely is not enough to make it around the whole circle. How many pieces of string do you think it will take to make it around the whole circle? Let's find out. I've cut another piece of string that again is about the length of the diameter, and I'm going to tape that around the circumference of the circle. All right, so if you said 2, that's still not enough. So I've cut another piece All right, so it's about 3 pieces of string, or 3 diameters, to get around the circumference of this circle. It's not exactly 3, because there is a little piece there that doesn't have any string. So it would take a little more than 3 pieces of string. But what does all this mean? This means that the circumference of a circle is about the length of 3 times its diameter. And this will work with any circle. If you have string or yarn around your house, I encourage you to try this.
Last question. How does radius relate to circumference?
We just learned that the length of one diameter was not enough to make it around the circumference of a circle. So that means the length of one radius is definitely not going to be enough to make it around the circumference of a circle, because the radius is half the length of the diameter. If we have more than one radius, we call them radii. So how many radii do you think it will take to make it around the circumference of this circle? Let's test it out again using string. I have the length of a piece of string that is the length of 1 radius, and I'm going to tape that around the circumference of this circle. That's 1. Here's my second piece. That's 2. And I think I'm going to label them. So this was 1. This was 2 radii. Here's my third piece. Here's a fourth piece. So this was 3. And this was 4. So if you guessed 4, that wasn't enough. Let's keep going. Here's a 5th piece of string. And that's 5. Still not enough. All right. So it looks like it's about 6 radii to make it around the circumference of this circle. Now, again, it's not exactly 6 because I have a little space there. So in fact, it would take a little bit more than 6 radii. Some of you may have already figured this out. We know that it took 3 diameters to make it around the length of the circumference. For every diameter, that's 2 radii. And if there's 6 radii, we know that there's 3 groups of 2. 1, 2 would represent a diameter. These 2 would represent 1 diameter. And these 2 would represent 1 diameter. So some of you may have already figured that out. And if you did, great job.
Here are your practice set questions for today. The first question says, which statement is true? You have 4 answer choices to choose from. A says, the circumference of a circle is equivalent to approximately 1/2 of its diameter. B, the circumference of a circle is equivalent to approximately 2 times its diameter. C, the circumference of a circle is equivalent to approximately 1/3 of its diameter. D, the circumference of a circle is equivalent to approximately 3 times its diameter. Question number 2 also says, which statement is true? And again, you have 4 answer choices. A, the radius of a circle is 2 times the length of the diameter. B, the diameter of a circle is 4 times the length of the radius. C, the radius of a circle is half the length of the diameter. D, the diameter of a circle is half the length of the radius. Finally, question 3 says, Aaliyah wrote statements in her journal about circles. Select all the true statements she included. You may have more than one correct answer for the last question. The first statement says, a diameter of a circle is a chord that goes through the center of the circle. A diameter of a circle is half the length of the radius. The circumference is about 3 times the length of the diameter. And a radius is a line segment that goes from the center of the circle to the circumference. Pause the video here and answer these 3 questions. Press play when you are ready to check your answers. All right, let's go ahead and check over your answers now. For problem number 1, your answer was D. The circumference of a circle is equivalent to approximately 3 times its diameter. For question 2, your answer was C. The radius of a circle is half the length of the diameter. For question 3, the first one, a diameter of a circle is a chord that goes through the center of a circle. That was true. A diameter of a circle is half the length of the radius. That one was not true. It's the opposite. A radius of a circle is half the length of the diameter. The circumference is about 3 times the length of the diameter. That one was true. And finally, a radius is a line segment that goes from the center of the circle to the circumference. That one was true also. Well, 5th graders, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's math lesson, and hopefully you learned something new today. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another math lesson. Bye, everybody. See you next time.